Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. Today we're reviewing a player who is in Diamond and pretty much wants me to pick up on anything I find in their gameplay that might be making a mistake. So if you are also in that similar situation where you feel like you can't quite gauge what's going wrong and you want a general analysis of what's going on, hopefully this video can help. Maybe you're doing some things that this player is also doing, and maybe me identifying it for this player can help you stop making the same mistakes. The gameplay is going to be on Vista Hardpoint, so especially if you're struggling on that particular map and mode, this video is going to be great for you. So we're going to be going through this form, which, as I say, if you want one submitting, feel free to click on the link down in the description. Upload a video to YouTube is probably the best way of doing it, and then submit a form and I'll review it. So the format, if you guys are new to the channel or new to the series, is we review the form that the player sends in to see what exactly their settings are, their history and their ranks. Watch the gameplay and then give a little bit of a conclusion and then an expected rank for the end of the year, for the end of MW3, that they can hopefully strive for, given the couple of changes I'm trying to get them to make at that I mentioned in the conclusion. So today we're reviewing Ray Charles or Sue. They play on new gen console. They play about 30 hours a week, which is a fairly decent amount of time. So yeah, I'd say that was a decent amount of time to play COD. Current rank Diamond 1. However, they did reach Crimson 1 in MW2. So as I say, they're probably still trying to break into that Crimson rank in this game. So hopefully we can identify some things that they are doing, to benefit them. And they play on a wireless headset, PS5 controller, and 120 LG monitor. I'm assuming that's 120 Hertz, so perfect for a console. Want me to look at everything: winning, gunfights, drop shot, and then Charles. So we're going to be taking a look at pretty much everything in this gameplay, but we're going to put a little bit of a focus on Vista Hardpoint and how to play the map specifically a little bit better, generally speaking. So, shall we kick it off? So we're actually seeing a sub player here, which is quite nice. It's quite refreshing to see. And we're taking a direct route, throwing the nades across the map. I like that you're using utilities. That's something I don't see enough in these submissions. And we'll see how we challenge the hill. Nice first blood here. So there's a couple of things I want to touch up on in this gunfight. So it's super tricky here. So it's a super mixy hill. What I like to do is guarantee a kill. This is my advice for this particular hard point. Guarantee a kill, get it gone, get out, because you're pretty much going to be stuck, in the middle of people. If you stay where you are, the red dots are going to be there on you, and the enemy team are going to know exactly where they need to be looking for you. So in this situation, get a kill, get out. But your sensitivity looks a bit high here when you shoot the second guy. So your centering looks a bit off. I mean, I can't remember what sense you play on. 7.7, so it might be a little high. I'm intrigued to know what your ADS sense is, but my first bit of advice is to maybe turn your ADS sense down a little bit. You can do that in the settings. Personally, I play on a 7.7 sensitivity with a 0.8 ADS, so might be something. And then there's also something I want to note with regards to the route you took. So on this map, you've just started this side. What is a really nice thing to do is you did the right route here, you ran up here, but I like to throw a stun to hit here, because by the time you're here, the enemy are pretty much back here. The timing's quite in your favor from this left-hand side here. So as you get to this area here, the enemy team are probably back here. So if you throw a stun over this area, it will stun probably the entries of the people going into the hill, but it would also deter the push to hit mid. So the enemies probably aren't going to chow you mid-side because you've stunned over there. And then I would save your nade for the next bit. So I then would run into the glass windows here, use this as a bit of a head glitch, and throw the nade onto this back wall here, and it will just, damage anyone all running in from this side, damage anyone sat behind the thing, and then you've got a nice head glitch to beam people there. And if you want, you can literally run up to them and challenge them really close, which is what you should do as an SMG player, really, if you feel a little bit more comfortable doing that. But yeah, that's a route I like to do, and it's going to probably be a little bit of a better route than what you did there, if you can do it. So moving back into the gameplay here, we're respawning in at the same place as we expect, so nothing really too much to note there. But nice using the stun, as I say, to just deter them a little bit. Big gunfight there, love that. And yeah, you notice your teammate has pushed a little bit far out there, so you just need to be a little bit careful. You read that player really well. I like that gunfight. Nice two-piece. Bit of a snake here. Really like that. This is good gameplay. This is really nice gameplay. And they've left you on the hill. You picked up an AR, which is the more beneficial gun to have in this setup. So again, kudos for that. So I'm just going to quickly go back to that gunfight, actually, because it looked a little bit bizarre. So that's a horrible, horrible, horrible gunfight to try and take on. Tricky. I'm not sure why we drop shotted there, in my opinion. Now, I'm assuming we tried to lay down there to get out of cover because you saw there were 2 people facing you from that area, and as a result, you're probably going to die. So laying down there, you thought you'd probably be safe behind cover. Fine. Now, what I'd have probably done in that situation, considering you have a nade, you've just spotted there's 2 people there. I would start snaking as soon as you see there's 2 people, get a nade out into that area there. Again, you might kill them, might deter their push, but as you're snaking, try and get a nade over, and then when you re-raise from that snake, you're going to be able to kill the closest player here. So we're spawning this side of the map, which pretty much means for P2 they're going to be coming from Burger. We do try and challenge Old here, which I don't necessarily mind. It's a little bit of a rogue play, but you are weak and you are about to run into people who are probably expecting you to push. So it's a little bit of a silly play there in that, as I say, you're weak and you know there's people in this room, so you just got to be very careful, or at least pre-aim. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're dead there even if you are pre-aiming. So when you spawn blue, that pretty much means the enemy are both Burger side and on your right here, so just be very cautious that when you're coming out of blue, I'll quickly show this on a diagram here. When you there's 3 main spawns on this hill. So let's say this hill is up, P2. There's a spawn here, spawn in this area, and then if these 2 are both blocked, you end up spawning here. So the fact you spawned here means that there's probably an enemy around this area here somewhere, as well as coming from Burger. So just going forward, just bear in mind that that might be a little bit of good info you can have. No, I think you were aware of that actually. So someone's been watching the spawn guide, so kudos to you. But yeah, there's the player you were looking for. That's where they were. Super, super, super creddy spot there. But hey, we flipped the spawns eventually. So your sense, you don't look comfortable with your sensitivity a bit. So you, as a sub player, you don't have to play on 7/7. So there's a couple of things that I noticed here. Your jumping is making your gun bob up and down. I don't think you need to jump, especially considering I don't think in your form you said you didn't have a modded controller or a custom controller. So I don't know if you've got paddles or you're jumping at the same time as aiming in without any use of paddles or back buttons or anything. But I think it's throwing your aim out, and I do think that's something you probably should stop doing, especially at that range. Now, let's see where you aim in initially here. So we're aiming in there, not too bad. But then the level you're aiming at is sort of neck height, so any jumps you do get are just going to make sure you miss. So your aim is good until you start jumping. So I'd try at that distance, you're better off drop shotting. If I'm honest, you're better off drop shotting or doing nothing at all. Personally, from that distance with a rival, I simply like to keep my aim nice and straight and strafe left and right in my gunfight, because you do have that added little bit of strafe speed with the rival compared to the MCW, which will give you that edge over the gunfight. But generally speaking, in that sort of distance or that range with the rival, you don't want to be jump shot in there whatsoever. And then a little bit of a weird one. I'm not sure whether it's just timing with a nade. I'm not sure whether you thought you had fast hands here. But yeah, is what it is. Nice for supplying help from the team. For the team here, you got the trophy out. Good use of trophy. And you're blocking this spawn back here, which means they're probably going to keep spawning the other side over where my cursor is. Now, having top control where you are currently is huge for this hill. If you don't have control of these top stairs, you're going to get broken instantly. So it's very important to keep or maintain that decent amount of control. Now, knowing where they're spawning here, which is probably where they are going to be spawning, and the new hill being here in P3, the route they're going to likely take is either they're just going to keep hitting old, fine, but any rotators are likely to run either through P1 to the new hill or down the bridge over to New Hill, or I mean either catwalk. So what you can do as a sub player on this map is when you move in from the middle map, which is where you were here, go into P1, sit behind the desk and just cut anyone off coming through that alleyway. That would be a really nice play. You get some free kills, and yeah, it will be a nice way to just deter their push to the new hill just that little bit more. So because I'm only pausing on every gunfight that we seem to be losing, that is a 50-50 gunfight, because you highlighted that you're not essentially winning gunfights here. You're stunned, I'm not too fussed about that. It's a weird one, I can't really look into that too much. Nice, but your teammate is instantly outnumbered at old because new, sorry, because we've played new. So let's rewind this back a little bit here. So you've got whole of control of P2 here, sorry. You're getting kills, your teammate gets kills, and we're running back. I'm not entirely sure why we're running back. I think you're probably getting communication that people are coming from Burger, but I want to see you run back up these stairs as much as you can here, which I think you try and do. So it might just be bad comms there, but yeah, if you try and rotate or cut off, as I mentioned in that little bit of a diagram, you probably, win this rotation a lot easier. Moving on to the gunfight itself, it looked super bizarre. So it looks a bit everywhere. Again, if you are not playing a reduced ADS sensitivity on 7.7, I would recommend doing so because it looks like you're not quite shooting as straight as you probably should be. I'm not going to condone stair glitching because I hate it when it happens to me. But I don't mind that anyway. The only thing I would highlight is in this situation here, you're getting kills here, but notice where your teammates are spawning. So the fact that your teammate has literally just spawned the other side of P1, which you can tell here, means that you should know they're coming behind you, because otherwise, if this spawn would be open and the teammate would just spawn here. So you just got to be very careful that, in this situation, if a teammate just spawn out, the chances are they're going to be coming from the pillars behind you. Now, if you did not want to die from front, which is clearly why you're aiming this way, you don't want to die from this side, you can lay down at the bottom of the stairs facing the other way and watching your pinch. So that's what I'd have probably done in that situation. So yeah, especially given the amount of time that's passed, you should really have known that they're pinching. But yeah, we learn. Okay, so that's when you spawn. You've spawned in almost pretty much here. So when you spawn in there, essentially you've just got where we spawned. Yeah, essentially we've spawned here. It means that the enemy team are, they're on hill because you can see they're on hill. Well, you can see they're around hill, but it means that the enemy team are still spawning the other side of P1. So just be very careful that if you spawn Burger with P3 popped, you're going to have enemies running through P1, trying to cut you off maybe, or running this way, or even, running through middle. So just be very careful that you are aware of their presence around P1 when you are spawning here, because chances are they are going to be pushing through that area of the map. So yeah, I get you're conscious that the people on the hill. However, from the knowledge I've just given you, I'm hoping next time you challenge through P1 and clear P1 before getting to this point in the map. So that's not necessarily a gunfight if you lost. That's just the fact that you just misread them or you didn't quite read the spawn. So yeah, this is where they were spawning, and that one player that you unfortunately fell to there has spawned here, and you're probably gonna take the exact route. Nah, maybe not. Now, I don't mind pushing old on this hill up to the very end because you can guarantee good spawns here. Now, again, we've spawned here, and it means that they're spawning. They're going to be coming from your P1 side. So I wonder if we do read it again. See, they're behind you again. In your head, a way to easily increase the amount of kills you're getting here is when you spawn up at Burger with P3 live, they're going to be coming from P1. Use it as a rule of thumb. Try and remember that for when you next play Vista. It will do you a world of favor, and it means you can cut the map off really easily. Vista is such a nice map to cut the map off with a submachine gun. I've done a couple of videos in the last 10 videos, I've maybe done 2 on Vista Hardpoint using a sub. So feel free to go and watch those and yeah, see what I do, see what routes I take. Okay, so this is a little bit of a sticky situation here. I don't think you get aim assist through those bars, so I'm not going to criticize those shots. Again, you're shooting and you're staying still for a little bit too long. Now, everyone on the enemy team are going to see you shoot. The best thing you can do once you've shot, and especially when you run out of ammo, is hide. Even if you step off the hill for a couple of seconds, reload, get back on the hill, but you do not want to be predictable. That's the biggest thing you want to try and avoid on Hardpoint, or on actually any time in Call of Duty, is being predictable. So you shoot, especially when you're shooting 30 bullets, you're going to be pinpointed on the enemy's map for a good few seconds. You want to get out of that situation and get out of that position as quickly as possible. So you're reading the spawns well here. You know that's where they're going to be coming from because of where you just spawned. So thumbs up for that. I don't like that push. Now, the reason I don't like that push is because, as you've seen, there's a spawn point here. And pretty much there's a spawn point. There's either a spawn point here or a spawn point back here. But either way, there's a general spawn point around this area. And then we've got P4 live here. So knowing how long's left on the hill, and if we take a quick glance, it's 25 seconds. The most beneficial side for next hill at P5 is the spawns this hand side of the map. The problem we've got here is that you've pushed these spawns out. You've ran from here. Can't remember what route you took, but you ran from here essentially through P4 and you've checked this area of the map. Now that has stopped the enemy team from spawning back here. They're literally going to spawn here. So chances are when they spawn in, if they're good at rotating, they're going to just rotate to the new hill and they're going to have the better spawns for the new hill. So just be very careful at not pushing this back area of the map when P4's, you know, over halfway done, because you're simply going to give up the good spawns for the new hill. Okay, a couple of gunfights there. Again, it just comes from the fact that we're not sure where they're coming from, but seemingly you spawned at new, which is good. So that means they've still pushed old there, which is obviously not what they should be doing. And those two players that probably you've just fallen to in the previous life has made you spawn out, or made you spawn favorably. So let's analyze these gunfights. Nice couple of gunfights there. Again, we jumped when we didn't need to. You win that gunfight and you didn't jump, and that was a very good gunfight. How much bullets did we have? We had 14 bullets. Did not need to reload. Did not need to reload. I know you felt like you shot a lot of bullets there, but you still have half a magazine to get a single kill. Do not pull out the pistol in that situation. Be very conscious of the amount of bullets you have in your gun, and yeah, you probably win that gunfight if you have the rival. Now, what I would personally suggest doing is, especially if you're a rival user, is warm up with the rival first. Play against, maybe shoot 200 bots, aim for that, and in a free-for-all, and try and get the most amount of kills in one clip as you can. That way, you'll sort of get used to how many kills you can get in a clip, and it will stop the habit of reloading quicker, or at least reloading less frequently. The problem is, what you should do, which is what I had to do to get this into practice, is that as soon as in my head I thought, do I need to switch weapons? I take a millisecond to glance down at my ammo and glance back up, and then from there I know whether or not I need to switch weapons. So if you ever think, I need to win this gunfight, let's pull out the secondary. I can't remember the name of it for some reason. It's just completely gone out of my head. When you want to pull out that pistol, think, okay, how much ammo do I actually have? Take a really quick glance at the amount of bullets you've got. If you've got plenty, which you did have, you had 14 bullets, then just run with it, because you know you're better off using that than you are the secondary. So let's see what sort of route we take here. So this is a super weird route. I personally wouldn't have taken this route, because coming off of spawn, we've got, you really need P1 control on this hill. This is the biggest area you want to have, is that height over the hill, and it stops the cut from either side of the spawn. So what we've got here, when you've decided to make this decision, is you have a teammate in this room next to you. You also have a teammate low bridge. So you're just going to add to the people low bridge. That has very little impact in the actual hill and the area around the hill itself. I get you can get to the hill quite easy from this side and this angle. However, the enemy team can get to you so easily because you haven't got actual map control of the area. So yeah, when you play P5 on this map, just try and get a little bit more map control around P1. As I say, especially as a sub player, you can really be super mixy there. And yeah, it's unfavorable gunfights. You're running with no cover. If you wanted to get on the hill from this side, I'd very much recommend running up here and sitting on this heady and then looking down to P3. And then if they contest, you have a little peek down the stairs. If they're not down the stairs, you know they're going to be coming from this area here, so you can literally just watch that. So this is a nice area to hit. The worst thing you can do is what you've just done, is to try and run to these boxes, which I imagine is what your route's going to be doing here. You don't want to do that. There's literally no cover for this whole stretch of the hill. You literally want to get as far right as you can, then get on the hill. So yeah, so again, I don't think this is so much losing a gunfight. It's just you're not putting yourself in a favourable position. Now, there's 15 seconds left on this hill. you're sort of fighting for P1 and P5 at the same time here, which I don't mind. But we're rotating. This is nice. Instead of dying, challenging old, you decided to rotate, get decent control of P1 here, and play life. Now, the problem we have right here is this is the most predictable spot you could be in at P1. Your teammates have all died, and there's 4 enemies up. Now, the first place they're going to look for you when this hill pops up is going to be this area. So I'm not going to be surprised if you get bombarded here and people will either pre-fire and they know exactly where you are. So yeah, my advice is in that situation, as soon as you're seeing that the enemy team are sort of putting pressure on you, your teammates are falling left, right, and center, it's to try and get out. So at this point, I'd have tried to get out. You have someone pushing you from bridge potentially, and you also have someone pushing you from glass or the windows, whatever you guys want to call that, sofas, some people call it. I will try and, if this was me, I would try and single out those gunfights. So I would challenge the guy bridge. I would challenge the window. Either one, challenging either one and then dying is better than just sitting here like waiting for a gunfight to come to you, because your chances are you're going to die. The benefit of challenging one at a time means that at least you're taking on one gunfight at a time, and you're in control of that gunfight. At this point, they don't know where you are because the new hill hasn't popped. So they have no info on you. They know exactly where you are when the new hill pops because they can't see you on a hill, but it says you're on the hill, so they must know you're behind here. So in this situation, I'd have liked to seen you maybe snake this a little bit to the glass, try and get the kill on glass. Failing that, if you don't feel confident in that gunfight because of the range, just challenge the bridge and then come back and then challenge the guy glass. But what you did here was probably potentially the worst thing you did, and it's just, sit as a sitting duck, and you just got bombarded. So again, not a gunfight, but you're not so much losing the gunfight, but you're not putting yourself in the best possible scenario. Nice. Could use the mini map. Good reaction actually. You didn't know who was there. That was just decent reactions. But we knew a player was just there. So this is the problem I have with that grenade. So we know there's a player middle somewhere, and you've just killed this guy. Now, this player could be pre-aiming you here. I mean, he's not. Well, they're not, sorry. They could be pre-aiming you here, but you've decided to throw a nade and leave yourself in the open. I get this player is not the player that we saw pop up on the minimap. However, if the player we saw pop on the minimap had decided to get to this heady just here, you're dead. Again, you're dead. So, again, you haven't lost the gunfight. It's not a 50-50 gunfight. You've just let yourself in the open quite a bit. Nice pre-aim there. Good shots. I'd like to see a little bit of a regain of health here. Nice. That was good. Your teammates provided decent support there. Oh, I don't know how you've lost that. I've got to be honest. Yeah, I don't know how you've lost that. I actually have no idea how you've lost that. The only thing I would suggest is maybe you weren't pre-aiming it, but you weren't pre-aiming it because you didn't know which side they were going to be coming from. Now, my advice, if there's one thing I would add to this is my advice, if you're not sure where they're coming from, I would have aimed 50-50. Now, an enemy is just here on that green dot because they've just shot, and there's going to be a secondary enemy following them up. Now, you're not sure. You've stopped you were pre-aiming here, but you stopped because you're not sure where they're going to be coming from. They're either going to be coming from here or here. Personally, you either 50-50 one or the other, or, which is the best thing you can do, is aim here. Have your center here. You don't have to ADS. You could just have the center of your dot, which is currently here. Because what that would mean, then you've got less travel time to go either this way or this way than you would be just going 50-50 to either side. The fact your center dot is here means even if they do chow this, you're going to have to still maneuver your adjustment. So I'd lift your gun up a little bit just to make sure you're centering to where you think they're going to be. But as I say, in short, center around the middle of where you think that their two choices are, and then you're going to be a little bit quicker to react. That potentially, considering how close this gunfight was, saves your life and you win that there. So again, you shot your shots, but you weren't predicting them well enough, or at least you didn't put yourself in the best or the optimal position to win that gunfight. It's fine though, we're still winning with 50 points up, moving into P2 pretty much. Yeah, that was a rogue push. Now I understand you're seeing the red dot here, or pink dot in your case, but you have no info as to where they are here, and you're running across a really crucial part of the map where many people bump into each other. It's a bit of a bold play to assume no one's on your left, considering P2 pops up in literally a couple of seconds. So yeah, I don't like this route. It's a little bit of a rogue route. Yeah, so if you did want to get around to that side of the map, I would have perhaps, instead of running across this openness, I would have at least tried to been aware that there may have been someone on the left. But if you did want to challenge the player who's back right here, I'd have perhaps gone back round to P1, or at least left the teammates to get them, because you do have a teammate in the hill ready to challenge that gunfight. So let that player, and I'd have probably dipped back and gone around the left-hand side where my cursor's just here. But yeah, this route here is just not the one. We actually spawned at P3, which is my preferred spawn for this hill. Yeah, okay. So for P2, let's go into what spawns there are. So P2, there are a bunch of spawns, to be fair. The 3 main spawns, as I've said before, are back here, and then if these 2 are blocked, it opens up this one. But if every single one of these are blocked, you end up spawning where you spawned, here. So what spawning here tells you is that you've got people coming up from Burger, or at least in the Burger area. You've also got someone pushed up, probably just come off spawn from this area here, and you've probably got another enemy who's sat in this general vicinity here, blocking this area here. So knowing the spawns a little bit more would have made it very easy for you to read this player you come across here. Try and remember where the common spawn points are. Essentially, in the most simplest term on this hill, if you don't spawn here or here, but you spawn somewhere similar on that side of the map, just look for your parallel, because chances are there's going to be someone there blocking the spawn on the enemy team. That's the most simple way I can put it and the best way to remember it, and then you can learn the details just for experience. So yeah, we perhaps should have won that gunfight. But again, we threw the nade up, and we're instantly staring at the floor. So even if you did read that player, maybe you would have had your aim up a little bit, but we are instantly staring at the floor. The center needs to be up very slightly there. And then it took you had to wide adjust right. Again, I think your sensitivity might be a little bit too high. So I would reduce the overall sensitivity by 6, maybe to 6.6, and see how you fare with that. And that actually might fix your ADS sensitivity at the same time. So get your sensitivity right, I think, is a massive thing we need to try and do in this gameplay. And the best way to do that is to just shoot bots. Shoot bots, try and make sure you're centering before you ADS on enemies in a bot lobby. Just a little bit quick one here. Make sure you're centering on them in that little middle dot on your screen, and then ADS, and then shoot and try and track their movement when you are ADS'd. You want to make sure that before you aim in, your center is on them. And if you can't, every time, maybe even 9 times out of 10, if you can't guarantee that your center dot is on or very close to them, you need to lower your general sensitivity, because centering is most of the aiming, to be fair. So yeah, again, gunfight, potentially lost there because we didn't know they were coming there, but also wasn't helped by the fact that our centering was very, very low. Okay, I don't mind this approach. Again, we're running very boldly here. If there was a player sat in this window, you'd be deleted. They'd have been looking down here probably, and you'd have been insta-killed. Yeah, bold chow. So I understand you think you're losing gunfights. However, you're really not putting yourself in the best chance possible of winning them. Now, we've got info on 3 players here. 4. We actually have info on 4 players here. So you've got the player that's just shot here. You've got the player that's on time who's just shot there. You have the player who's low Burger who's just shot there. Then you have the player who you just try to shoot in Burger. You now know where 4 of their team are, and you really need to use that to your advantage. What you do next is you just chow out and put yourself in a really open spot where literally all 3 of these players have the opportunity. I'm not saying they will guarantee, they're guaranteed a kill here. They have the opportunity from where you know they are to shoot you. The best thing you can do here is get out of dodge, or at least try and evade some sort of cover. Personally, if this is me, I'm trying to back out, or at least I'm sliding towards this box here, using it as a heady. But what we do here is just, you position yourself where you can be shot from potentially the player on the hill, as I say, a potential player up top Burger, which you know they're where you know they are, and this player down here. And you're in a position where you don't get aim assist. Again, we're still spawning here. 20-second rotate. I actually don't mind that. I like to do that myself sometimes just to guarantee these back spawns. Nice. I'm not sure who killed the player behind you, but whoever did that, kudos to them. Massive kill. And now we're relatively settled on the new hill. I'm interested to see what sort of setup you guys have here. Sorry, just scroll down. Okay. Now, I don't mind those nades. They're absolutely fine. Again, we're doing too much. We do not have to use that much movement to kill this player. Maybe it's bad timing. Maybe I'm presuming here you know they're coming up here, which is why you challenge like this. Maybe you're just assuming they're going to be coming up here and you want to get into a position down here. Maybe that's why you're jumping. Might just be bad timing, but if it's not, you do not want to be jumping into that gunfight either way. Just hold a pre-aim there. You don't need to do anything else. Now, personally, as a sub player on this hill, the best place to be is below. The best place you can be is below. You then have a teammate. Let's quickly draw this up here. You can be below. Imagine this is below the hill. You can be down here watching. You can even be sat here, and you can, from this angle, you can be watching the low door and the window. You then have a player sat back here watching the flank, also holding these spawns. You can then have a player sat, you know, on the bar heady, just like so, and that from that position they could be watching, you know, up here. And then you can have a player doing whatever they want. They can either, you know, push up to P1 and cut them off, or they could be on the hill with you, or if your teammate needs help in the back, they can chill out in the back. But essentially, that's the best setup. So just thinking that going forward, if you can, as a sub player, get into the bottom of the hill, it means that you're not going to potentially lose to the flank. From this position, you can see if any of the enemies decide to, you know, run down here and then up the spiral steps. You can see if any enemies want to run down back here and get back up the steps. And you also can see if they want to do the jump up spot to the gate. If you don't know, you can run up here, run out the map, and then hop over this gate. So from this position, you can see every single one of those line of sights. So I'd prefer to see that in this position from where you are, personally. But yeah, you've left the middle open. You have no info. If that player who challenged you spiral decided to actually go out the back door and pinch your steps behind you, they can do that, and there's no one stopping them. So we don't quite have everything covered here, and it just leads to this unpredictable gunfight that we'll eventually end up losing. We do actually spawn out as well, which obviously isn't great. Big kill there. Nice. You got the gunfight. Got to be honest, they were reloading, but the aim still looked a bit jittery. So yeah, I don't want to repeat myself 100 times, but I would try and work on that sensitivity a little bit. Nice. Now I like this play. I don't quite like that play. We'll see how this pans out. Essentially, you're a sitting duck here with no cover. The only cover you've got is sort of you're on your belly. They can go, there's back steps here, which is a disgusting head glitch. There are steps here, which means they're on a head glitch. And even if they get up the steps, they've got this box just here, which they can also use as a head glitch. We're not in a favorable situation here. Personally, I won't be surprised if you unfortunately die. Well, easy kill. Talk about 3 kills. Tough. That's tough. Now, I felt like you could tell you were being bombarded here because you just wasn't sure what was happening. You get the info where players just push time, so that makes you, look that way. One thing you could have done in that situation, I know this is all hindsight, so it's a little bit easy for me to say now I've watched the gameplay and know what happens, is if you want to try and deter their push to the site, or you've got a lot to handle here. You've just shot, so the enemy knows where you are. You've got to make sure people can't come in the window. You've got to make sure people can't come in from the door to your right. You've got to make sure people can't come in from the door over here. You need to sort of try and narrow down the potential ways in which they can push. And the best way to do that is to use your tack and stun. So personally, throw a stun out the back door. That'll tell you if anyone's even close. Throw a nade towards the hill. You'll get a hit mark, or at least you'll deter them to get on the hill. And it will just delay them a little bit into killing you. And at least it will give you a chance of knowing where some of them are. Personally, you're probably dead here anyway, even against a good team. Even if you're really cracked, you're just going to get traded. But you could at least use your tacticals a little bit there to get yourself out of that sticky situation. or at least narrow down where they are, so you can read them and therefore take on a gunfight which is in your favor. Now, again, not necessarily a gunfight loss. You've just run out into the open without any sort of cover here. A tendency I think I'm seeing you do is wherever you spawn, you're running that route. We've just seen you spawn up here, and as a result, you've just gone, okay, let me just run into the hill like so, rather than running down here like this. On the other side of that, you've just spawned here, and you've gone, oh, let's run down this way. So you don't always have to run the route that the spawn puts you in. The spawn literally put you here facing that way, so you've gone, okay, let's just run that way because it seems like the more logical thing. Think in your head, what's the most beneficial route for me as a sub player to run to the hill? You never really want to be going here. This is a death zone, especially if you don't have any kills here. As you guys know, they can set up on the third glitch here, they can set up here, so it just leaves and they can literally be sat on the stairs just looking your way, so it's a real not ideal spot. So yeah, just think when you spawn in, what's the best route for me to take, and try and take that route. As I say, spawning here and running here is the best idea. It's just a shame we didn't do that from here and eventually run down, but it is what it is. Again, we're running to the steps, which somehow you're alive. Gotta be honest, I thought you'd be dead here. Yeah, so you're committing to the gunfights heavily. So first of all, from this position, I would most definitely have not gone to the stairs, because we know we just died from there before. But I don't mind it because you sort of know the enemy's here, so I'd have personally got this trade. Perfect. And then got the bloody hell out. Actually, I think that's the second time we challenge, isn't it? No, this is the first one. I'm faded. Nice kill. Get out. I think if we were a little bit more accurate with that kill, we could have stayed at the top of the stairs. We didn't need to follow them. That's actually my point here. We didn't need to follow them. As we're shooting, we're following them. We don't need to do that. If you simply strafe right a little bit or just stay where you are, you can catch them running all the way down, and you get that kill there. But personally, I'm not running that route. I'm running down here. I'm using a stun to determine which side of the hill they are. You can then throw a nade, and then you're challenging close gunfights where you've got the biggest advantage as a sub player. Yeah, what we do here is a bit silly. We try and get out here, and instead of running right into cover, we decided to run left, which is where they can sort of see you from. Yeah, and that whole situation is really buggy here. I get you've got 10 bullets, and I don't mind that challenge here, but as soon as you've seen that player lay down, and you know you've already shot so many bullets out of your magazine, you need to get out. The last thing you want to do is do this. The pistol's not great. It sometimes works wonders, but in a situation like that where you have no ammo on your rival, you're really open, you're probably going to get traded out anyway because they're literally spawning on your right. You don't want to be doing that. Again, we're blocking the spawn we want them to spawn in, potentially. Let's see where your teammate spawns. Okay, we've still got good spawns, thankfully. Now, this is the area I like to see you sat in for this hill, because you can be really mixy here. You're clearly fluid with the movement. Nice, get that kill, get back out, release the spawn. Nice gameplay. Although we did get traded there. Okay. We're flipped. Potentially pushed a little bit too far up there without anyone blocking. We're over-committing so much to these gunfights here. You do not need to charge out there. You've just seen 2 of them, and you've just jumped at them both. You do not need to do that. The best thing to do in this situation is to be a little bit smarter here. Sprint to this wall or slide to this wall. Pick off the gunfight. Actually, failing doing that, you're still open to 2 people here. If you stayed using this wall as cover, if you stayed tucked behind this area here, you can control your gunfights. You can strafe a little bit so you just see this player here, challenge them from this area, and then once you've killed that player, you can strafe a little bit further right so you've got an LOS towards this player. That's the best thing to do in that situation. Or at least, I know you like to be a bit aggro, or at least slide out to this area, check your right, because that's probably where they're going to be spawning, and then from this head glitch here, look over and then control the gunfight. As I say, the worst thing you can do is literally just jump out at them. Yeah, maybe being a little too aggressive here. And now you're trapped in this horrible, horrible bottom P3 spawn. Okay. They need 30 seconds left, and you'll probably need fairly something similar. Nice gunfight, reload. Unfortunate that your teammate didn't quite pick up your left here. I'd have been a bit annoyed at that, actually, knowing that the teammate was literally on the bridge and they've been two-pieced. I think you've done well here. I'd have probably done the exact same thing, use that head glitch, stop them from coming through glass, and I'd have probably died to that player there if my teammate let them get through. So I'm not necessarily sure that's your wrongdoing. Your teammates let you down a little bit. Nice kill. That's fine. Use your stuns and nades to get rid of the trophies. You just need to play a low to your right on the mini-map. Yeah, and you're aware that a player's gone round because you just saw them on the mini-map, so your awareness of the mini-map's pretty good. Now, we knew he was there. Teammates just died. And I think you've been a little bit stuck by that. I don't think after killing this guy... I mean, you were looking to your right anyway. For some reason, we haven't killed anyone down here on the right. You've gone to pick up this kill here. Great, you put a trophy down. But we seem to have forgotten about the player on the right here. Here, in this situation, you've just shot. So the player who's lingering around the back spawn here knows where one of you are, and chances are they're going to go after you. So I'd have probably read the play to the right here. So yeah, tough gunfight. Yeah, now you're pretty much in the blender. Nice pre-fire, I like that. Tricky. Yeah, he was laying down, you didn't see him. I didn't see him, to be fair, either. I mean, I do have a little bit of a small screen when I'm watching this, but... gunfight, yeah, unfortunately we do fall. So let's see the end result. We end up going 22 and 30. Full defense, we're clearly doing a decent amount of hill time there. Yeah, tough gameplay. I want to see if I can see your class. Is there a way I can see your class? No. Now, so let's start off with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's go with that. So the good, your movement is clearly clean. You know exactly how to move. You're using jump shotting a lot. You're sliding a lot. You're using a good amount of hip firing as well, which is a very good thing to do as a sub player on this game. And you're very much aware of the minimap. You know when an enemy shoots that they've shot, and you're very conscious that they are there. You've clearly got decent skills as a gamer. There's a couple of things that we could improve upon, and I'm going to want you to try and improve upon here. So first thing is first, there is a clear missing link somewhere in your sensitivity. I'm just going to see if that's going to give me a bloody problem. There's a clear miss in the sensitivity somewhere. Now, I think it's both your centering and when you're ADS. Now, the centering can be fixed, as I say, by generally turning down your general sensitivity. You want to make sure that you're centering on where they're going to be, and then you're not overcorrecting when you are doing that. Now, if you're stubborn and you really do want to be on a 7/7 sensitivity, I fully recommend getting into a bot lobby and really trying to make sure that before you even start shooting against these bots, your middle dot is on them, and then you ADS, and then you shoot. And when you're very much conscious of that in that training that you're doing with these bots, you should identify that you're not quite shooting, or you're not quite centering where you should be on the players. I'd put minimap on, and then as they come around the corners, analyze yourself. Obviously, I'm not there to do it for you, but analyze yourself. Okay, where was I centering? Even when I knew where they were coming from, was it in the ideal situation? And try and get that muscle memory into your brain from there. Now, failing that, I think you should do that anyway, even if you are lowering it to 6.6. So I do think it's a good practice to have. Failing that, I also think you should reduce your ADS sensitivity. Now, I'm not sure what's going to work well for you, but you need to play. You need to be confident of those long-range gunfights, and I think there's a couple of scenarios in this gameplay we're watching where you're aiming in and your aim's going a bit wiggly here, and it's not quite staying on the plane. Your tracking isn't quite as good as it could be. And the easy fix for that, as I say, I reduce my ADS sensitivity. There's no way I can play 7.7.1 ADS speed. So I actually use a 0.8 ADS speed with a 7.7 sensitivity, and it just means that when I'm aiming it, there's a great example there, that when I'm aiming in, I'm in more control where my aim is going. So yeah, I try and do that and implement a change of your ADS sensitivity into that bot training. And then when you get on, every time you get on, you play, I think you said you played 30 hours a week. Every time you get on, play for 10 minutes in a bot lobby, making sure that your aim is crisp. You're getting at least, I mean, I'm going to be a bit fair. Let's make sure you're getting at least 4 kills in every magazine. And that way you're going to know with the rival this is, that way you're going to know that you're shooting your shots. Because realistically, if you're not getting 4 kills against bots, you're probably missing a lot of shots. And then doing that also, you're probably going to be a little bit more aware of how many kills you can get in a magazine. And that's also going to fix your problem of reloading too soon or not being more efficient with your bullets. Because there's a lot of times here where we've had to pull out the pistol, or we've not quite understood how many bullets we've got in the rival. So getting used to how many bullets you have left after so many kills with consistent aim is going to be really important to improve upon. A good thing I also wanted to highlight here, I actually completely forgot about, is your use of tax and trophies. You use them a lot, you use them well, and I don't think I see enough players doing it. So yeah, you're decent at COD. It's clearly, that's fairly clear. There's just a few things we can tweak to make you a much better player. But yeah, main thing, sensitivity, sort it out, reduce both or one of them, ADS and general sensitivity. Secondly, I think a bit more spawn knowledge wouldn't go amiss. I'm assuming you've seen my spawn guides already, but what I would try and do is the maps you find yourself struggling, I don't know if Vista is a common map you struggle on, but try and find a VOD of someone playing it. Maybe not just me, because obviously I don't upload money gameplays compared to other content creators, but find a VOD of content creators, see where they're pushing, what routes they're taking, and when certain players on their team are in certain positions, see where they're looking to see where the enemies are. But yeah, failing that, I hope this video has helped at least for Vista so that you understand the spawns a little bit better. But yeah, maybe just revise my spawn guides to make sure you know what spawns are where, and it will just make it so that you're not taking on 50-50 gunfights where you've got an even chance of winning with the enemy, and enables you to put you in a position where you're predicting when they're going to be, and you can then sit on a head glitch watching that spawn point, and you're going to be pretty much getting free kills as they run out of their spawn. So yeah, in short, sort out your sensitivity. Whatever you do with it, make sure you're comfortable with it. But the end goal really is to get 4 or 5 kills in a magazine, in a 30-round magazine of a rival when you're shooting bots. That's the ideal situation, and that's what it should be if you're being decent with your shots. And then the second thing, obviously, is just to maybe pick up the spawns a little bit, try and understand where things, why people are spawning there, and maybe be a little bit more aware of where they might be coming from when you spawn in certain situations. And then finally, I'm not sure what you've got in your class, but personally, I much prefer to have quick grip on my SMG class. And the reason for that is I can throw nades quicker, I can throw stuns quicker, I can throw trophies quicker. And it just means that when I'm in those really tense, sticky, close range situations, I'm not spending half a second to throw a trophy and then half a second to throw a nade. It's a real quick throw of a nade, throw of a trophy, and then you're back in the action as a submachine gun player. With my AR class, I do like to use marksman. I'm not sure what you've got on here. I can't quite see what gloves you've got, but as an AR player, I do prefer to have marksman here. But as a sub player, because you're in the mix so much, you really want that quick maneuverability with the utilities that you do have. That, and I would also recommend using I use tac mask. Since I moved to tac mask for my subclass, it's been a world of difference. You can avoid nades pretty well. You can either, you see them coming or you hear them coming, or you get the grenade indicator so you can maneuver your way out of them. But stuns can get you killed so frequently, and it's personally, I would give tac mask a try just to see how it benefits you. If you don't like it, you can always go back to flak jacket, but personally, tac mask is a far better perk to have as a sub player. So that's pretty much going to be it. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of other things to focus on, but as I say, pick up the spawns a little bit, try and revise those, and sort your sensitivity out, and maybe try a couple bits of new class setups on your guns, on your class, sorry, and that should see a little bit of an improvement. If you have any questions individually, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, Twitter, Discord. You can DM me on YouTube or Twitch. You can contact me however you want. I'm happy to answer questions. If you want me to talk through certain spawns on a certain map in a little bit more detail, I'm happy to do that as well. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. And if you aren't the player who submitted the gameplay and you've enjoyed, feel free to drop a like and sub if this is something you want to see. And as always, feel free to submit a form yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao for now.